before installing the fuel injector valve in place, you have to ensure there is no dirt inside the fuel injector packet. So now we have to install the fuel valve stud. So how to install the fuel valve stud? You have to use two nuts of the same size and hold one nut, bottom nut with one spanner, the other nut with other spanner, and tighten it, and now the stud become head bolt. So now you can easily fit in place. So now I am fitting that stud in place. So once that is in place, if the stud get loosened, again what you need to do is do the same procedure for tightening the nut. Hold the bottom nut with spanner and the top nut with other spanner and tighten it. I'm going to do that only. I'm holding the bottom nut, trying to hold the other top nut with another spanner. So I'm trying to hold, but the spanner is not getting in hold. So again I'm trying. So it is very simple. For tightening the stud bolt, just hold the bottom with one spanner, top with the other spanner, and just tighten it like this, what I'm doing. So now this stud bolt become a headed bolt and you can tighten it. For opening, again the same procedure, hold the bottom nut and loosen the top nut. So ensure you are always keeping rags in fuel valve packet before removing the nut. The reason is, if when you are removing the nut, if the nut fall down inside the packet, it will be very hard to remove it. So always keep some rags inside the packet, so that even if the nut fall down, it will fall over the rags and it will be easy to remove it. So now I am opening the nut. Okay, so before installing the injector, ensure 3 o-rings are in place and 1 copper gasket in place, and ensure you are applying adequate amount of copper slip on fuel injector valves, so that it will ease up when we are tending to remove it for any maintenance work. If not, it will get stuck somewhere, so that again it will be a harder thing. So one thing you have to ensure is, before installing the valve in place, you have to make sure copper gasket is there in place, because sometimes this copper gasket tend to fall down. So now what you need to do is, before fitting, the groove and the double pin of the fuel injector should match, and before installing, ensure there is no dirt or nothing inside the packet. And I am matching the double pin along with the groove on cylinder head body. You can see the double pin is straightly fitted, and all you need to do is give a small tap on top of the fuel valve, so that the fuel valve will go inside the packet and it gets seated between the groove. Okay, so I just give a small tap, and now you can see the double pin is inside the groove. So this is what you need to check. Okay, so next thing is, I'm going to fix the fuel high pressure pipe. So before fixing the fuel high pressure pipe, you have to clean the o-ring surface in the fuel pump and ensure you are blowing air. And first you have to fix the joint. So for fixing the joint, this is the high pressure pipe you have to install, do not forget it. And on the fuel pump side, you have to fix the joint. You have to ensure the joint is kept on the right direction. So this should be facing down, it should be going inside the groove, so it sits inside the groove. So next, parallelly, I'm going to fix the flange for fuel valve. So fix the flange in between the studs, so it enters the studs. So for this, just do a hand tightening of the nut. Do not tighten it by hammer, because you have to follow makers a tightening procedure like you have to do torque tightening. So just fix the nut in place properly. Ensure your nut is going freely. So okay, both the nuts are in place. Now I came back to the fuel pump side, fix the o-ring, ensure you are giving a coat of copper slip, and this fuel pump and fuel injector will be connected by a high pressure pipe, which is this one. So ensure this high pressure pipe is also clean. Give a coat of o-ring where the o-ring seats. Give a coat of copper slip. This is the o-ring area, and you have to ensure no dirt, nothing. Again, as I say, give a coat of copper slip, fix the o-ring, and bolts. Again, bolts, you have to give a coat of copper slip. Any bolts, whenever you use, you give a copper slip coat, so it will be easy for us during maintenance work. So okay, this is the bolt for the fuel pump side. So next what we need to do is, I'm going to fix the high pressure pipe, fix on the fuel between the fuel pump and fuel injector high pressure pipe. So always put the bolt on the bottom side for the high pressure pipe, because this is to ensure the o-ring doesn't slip. So always make sure the o-ring is in place whenever you are tightening the bolt, because sometimes the o-ring gets to slip and fall down. So have a look down whether the o-ring is in place or not, so that you can avoid unnecessarily opening again, because when you are done with all this thing without monitoring, the o-ring is already dropped down, and you open the fuel line, and the fuel oil will start leaking like anything. So again, it will be a additional job for you. So that is the reason you have to ensure the fuel o-ring is there in place. So for this tightening, you have to use the torque tightening procedure. Use proper makers recommended torque for both the fuel pump side, fuel injector side, and the other fuel valve side also. So tighten it equally initially, and then give a torque tighten. You need to hear that clink sound whenever you do the torque tightening. So next thing is, I am going to tighten the high pressure side fuel oil fuel oil line high pressure pipe, and for that also you have to keep torque tightening. So for both the side, you have different torque values, and this has a different range, and ensure you are keeping the range safe all time. If you miss, you don't get it again, so that you have to be very careful when keeping your special tools. Always keep it safe. Tighten it. So once I am done with tightening of this too, the next thing is, I have to tighten the fuel valve flange. So again, different torque value. So this 4 volt are done, and next thing is, I go for the fuel valve tightening. So again, different torque for it. Same, first initially tighten both the nut equally. Once that is done, give the torque tightening, which I'm going to do now. Okay, okay. So tighten both the nut initially, so that equal pressure will be given on both the nuts, and then you give the torque tightening. So that's all, we are done with installing of fuel valves.